Packers win this game on the road in Jacksonville, 30-27. Seem to avoid a scare as well with Jordan Love, who exited this game, and it looks like he is okay, at least long term. So he'll be, like Tom Pelissero said, day to day, and there's a shot that he plays this upcoming Sunday as well. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded players for the Packers in this one. Tucker Kraft, National Tight End Day, 82.5 as the number 1 graded Green Bay Packer here from this group. Linebacker Eric Willison with an 81.1. Quarterback Malik Willis came into the game and got a 78.6 PFF grade. Josh Jacobs with a 76.1. And then rookie linebacker Andrew Kruger rounding out the top 5 with a 74.3. Jordan Love, before he exited the game in the third quarter with that injury, 74.6. And then on Jacksonville's side of things, their rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. an 88.1. Linebacker Devin Lloyd 81.4. Edge rusher Josh Hines-Allen with a 79.1. Cornerback Jerry Jones with a 78.5. Wide receiver Christian Kirk, who unfortunately fractured his collarbone in this one and will be out for the season. He had a 76.2 overall grade. Trevor Lawrence a 74.5 PFF grade. Close game here, Dalton. So very curious. What is the stat that told the story?
You know what's fun about this game? So I covered a game yesterday on the college show, the Penn State game. Did you hear about this with their quarterback, Drew Aller?
What, with Aller getting hurt?
He got hurt right before halftime.
Yeah.
And their backup comes in, and they run a totally different offense. And they won the game anyway. They came back. They beat Wisconsin. A backup played great, the whole thing. You know, is the Malik Willis trade right now the best trade in the NFL this season?
Wow.
I mean, Devontae Adams, that's not going to do anything for them.
No, I think so. I mean, Cooper had a really good first game with the Bills, but he didn't do anything this past game. A bunch of other wide receivers showed up.
The story here is Malik Willis.
Yeah,
because
I guess so.
Even though he played less than half this game, he's played extended snaps in 3 games. We won't count week 1 where he came in for a Hail Mary and that whole thing. He's played 3. He made 2 starts, and he played extended snaps in this game. They've won all 3 of those games, and he's graded an 80.1 overall. And he's just coming. I don't know how Matt LaFleur turned him around so fast, because they traded for him, 3 weeks before the season?
Yeah.
And this is a guy who is where would they be without him? Honestly, 4 for 5 with 56 yards and a touchdown and 23 yards on the ground in this game. He comes in and he's poised and he runs the offense and they get the run game going, and the big play action pass to Jaden Reed at the end that got him in position, won the football game. He's won him 3 games. I have no idea where the Packers would be without Malik Willis. And they traded him for, was it a 6th-round pick, maybe even a 7th?
It was nothing.
For nothing.
Right.
3 weeks before the season, and everyone went, why in the world would they want Malik Willis after what we saw in Tennessee? And Matt LaFleur coaching this guy up, he's got a backup quarterback who's won him 3 games this season already. I mean, if they could ever just get Jordan Love consistently healthy, because we've just been an issue this year for whatever reason, Willis has come in and played, and not just played, traffic cone football. He's been really good. He's been really good and made big plays when they needed him to.
No,
I mean, he's come in and run this offense, and they run it a little bit different with him than they do with Love, but he just gets out there and he makes plays, and it's really fun to watch, honestly, because it's really the part where Matt LaFleur and getting this guy and coaching this guy up has saved their season, because there's a lot of times if your quarterback misses 3 games, your starting quarterback misses 3 games this early in the year, where you're like, man, we're in huge trouble, and the Packers aren't because they have Malik Willis. It's crazy.
No, Malik's been great. I think that you also got to talk about the Packers run game as well, right? This is why you go out and you get Josh Jacobs. This is why you're very comfortable moving on from a guy like Aaron Jones, because of the faith that you're going to have in Josh Jacobs. And when you look at when Jordan Love went out, which was right at the beginning of the third quarter, Jordan Love gets hurt 13 minutes ago in the third quarter. Josh Jacobs, in the second half, 91 of his 127 rushing yards in this game came in the second half. 0.43 missed tackles forced per attempt average in the second half, which is a very high number. And then 5.4 yards after contact average for Josh Jacobs in the second half. So, yes, want to give Malik Willis his kudos, but the Packers were able to lean on the run game. And like what we talked about with the Bengals when we were going over the Bengals-Eagles game, when things kind of started to unravel a little bit in the Bengals offense, T. Higgins not being in the lineup, they were not able to lean on the run game to supplement things. The Packers have been able to do that when Malik Willis has been in the game. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Malik Willis. He has been great, far better than I think a lot of people expected him to be when that trade went down. But we do have to recognize Josh Jacobs as like, hey, this is also a big reason why when Jordan Love has missed time, we've been all right because we know that we've got this guy here. He's been worth the money that we have been able to give him. So I think that the run game has been fantastic for the Packers overall, specifically when Jordan Love went down, and it still was good enough for them to get out of Jacksonville with a win in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's my most impressive guy right there on the screen is Jacobs, because it's taken us till week 8 to really talk about him as the rock of this offense. So much is made about who's the number one receiver and which tight end is playing and what are we doing at quarterback, but he's been the one consistent guy. And you look at last year, just kind of a disaster year out there in Vegas. They had the contract negotiations. It came in late. He didn't have a good year. And I was a little worried even when he signed in Green Bay about the scheme fit and is he a zone runner. And now they've made some adjustments along the way, but Jacobs right now is 4th in the NFL in rushing yards and 6th in rushing grade. He has been the elite back that they have paid him to be. And the fact that he's been really the one constant on this offense, maybe along with Jaden Reed, he's always making plays. It's been big time. And you mentioned it, even if they had to start Malik Willis next week, you feel like they could win. You've seen him do it 3 times already. Willis gets in the option game with Jacobs, even in the shotgun doing those things. LaFleur will adjust the scheme. This is a team. Maybe they don't have a Justin Jefferson at receiver, or maybe they don't have the best offensive line in the league like the Lions or somebody like that, but they have a ton of balance, and Matt LaFleur just makes it work. And I think the combination of both of those guys in the backfield, but especially Jacobs just so consistently, 5, 6, 7 yards over and over and over, breaking tackles, he's been the rock of this offense so far this season.
I love what I saw from Jerry Jones. I think we talked about, okay, well, what is this Jaguars secondary without Tyson Campbell, who missed a little bit of time earlier this season? Jerry Jones is somebody who, much like I talked about with his former teammate Renardo Green, I got to see both of these guys at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and Jones was fantastic from the slot. And I remember watching a couple of practices of him, and I was like, all right, I got to go watch the Florida State tape. He was so instinctual, confident, knew exactly what he needed to do, how to put himself in position between where the ball was coming from and his receiver. Love how he plays the slot. 58 snaps in this game, 73.9 coverage grade, had an interception and only allowed 2 receptions for 16 total yards. Him and Tyson Campbell were 2 of the highest graded defenders that we had for Jacksonville in this game, and it looks like they've got that other slot spot figured out. So maybe cornerback still remains a need for Jacksonville outside outside corner opposite Tyson Campbell, but Jerry Jones seems to really be locking things down in the slot, so he was most impressive for me. Who's most disappointing for you?
We'll go former Gator Ventrell Miller at linebacker. He was the one who really, as the Packers' run game got rolling in the second half of this game, he's the one who struggled. His last 2 weeks he was really good, 88.8 run defense grade 2 weeks ago, 90.6 last week, but this game, 36.6 run defense grade, 5 missed tackles in the run game, and he was doing fine in the first half. He was holding his own, but the second half when Willis came in, and they started giving him different looks up front. Ventrell Miller kind of struggling at linebacker. The Jags played a little bit of base defense with 3 linebackers in there with Foye Oluokun back, but they went after Miller. Josh Jacobs was breaking tackles in there, and he was really the biggest victim of it.
For me, the most disappointing is the Jags' early season losses. That loss to the Miami Dolphins in week 1, loss to the Cleveland Browns in week 2. Now you've got actual, losses on the depth chart because Christian Kirk's going to be out for an extended period of time. Brian Thomas Jr. could be out with that chest rib injury, but there was a report that I saw like 45 minutes ago. It's like, okay, it's kind of day-to-day. There's a chance that he even plays this weekend, so he might miss a little bit of time. But unfortunately for Jacksonville, I think that the early season losses really bug me now because they're playing like a good football team. This is a damn good football game.
It's the same as the Jets. You're losing all the close ones.
Yeah, but this one felt different than the Jets one. Like, you watch the Jets and everything just looks like an incredible struggle. There are times when it certainly looked like that for Jacksonville. But this game in particular, you're playing a Packers team that a lot of people would argue is a top 5 team in the NFL. And you're really going after them. Some people are like, oh, you couldn't even beat them without Jordan Love. Again, we just praised how good this team plays with Malik Willis. So I'm not even going to – I don't even think that's part of the conversation here. Instead, I look at Jacksonville and I go, man – what a hard-fought game from Jacksonville. You came up just short in this one, but I got faith in you moving forward. I'm pumped about it. Unfortunately, they're kind of too far behind the 8 ball at this point. And if those 2 games, one that they should have won in Miami, and one that, okay, it's a little bit of a different story with the Browns, but you probably could have won that one too. How different does this season look now at this point? Coming off even the same loss against the Packers, if your record swings in those 2 games like it probably should have before. So that's most disappointing to me because I think the Jags are actually starting to come into their own and play some good football. I just think it's a little too late for him now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, it's just their defense has consistently let them down in big spots.